a Cumulus media station.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia
107.5 The Game.
on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5.
The Game in Florence.
Yeah. 11 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. Welcome in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark, and a special guest today. You know him. You love him. The one and only Cornbread Cowboy, Mr. Ori Lee, hanging out with us, talking some ball, talking some life, and everything else in between. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Appreciate you for having me on here today. Starting to get hot out there. We got some ball coming up, so
That's
I'm
right.
pretty excited for Saturday.
You can ask Wes and Chris. You're a guest that I've wanted to have on this show for so long, and I'm so excited we're finally doing this.
Yeah, me too, man. I think it was when I'm originally from South Carolina, from Williston. I remember I wanted to move back to South Carolina. When I did, I moved in the area and I went to the spring game, and people were like, who's this guy on the sidelines or whatever? So I was going to come on here. It's just, man, life has been crazy busy for me,
Right.
especially this year. So, but I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you're a full-time content creator now, right? This is literally your job to be Cornbread Cowboy, right?
Yeah, pretty much, man. It's opened a lot of doors for me. From creating content, making videos and all that fun stuff to now it's kind of gave me a mission offline, So I've been doing a lot of stuff like, hosting small, music festivals, concerts, stuff like that. I just did my first movie,
Nice.
Just special appearances, stuff like that on the weekends.
Are you able to tell us about this movie?
Yeah, man.
Is it a secret,
I can tell you about it. As far as what they release, I can, probably tell that. I can't tell you the plot and the name.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't want to give it away.
Yeah, no.
No, just tell us the ending right now.
All right. So basically, I play a character, Dale. Mm-hmm. And I'm a regular at a gentleman's club. But anyways, it's got some big name actors in it, and it's called Stranglehold. So it takes place in Arkansas, and so I'll tell you how I got the gig. Actually, the director, and he basically follows me on Instagram, and I've spoke to him a few times before. His name's Clark Duke. He hit me up, and he wanted me to do a cameo for it, So I was like, okay, I'm going to be an extra in a movie. Cool. Heck yeah. And I did the audition. The production company liked it. They liked it so much, they was like, hey, we're going to give you a bigger audition for a bigger role for your own character. I was like, holy moly. So I did that. And, so I got the part, man, and did my first big Hollywood movie, so I'm pretty excited for it.
Now, where was the filming?
We filmed in New Jersey at this gentleman's club, but we changed the name to Hog Heaven, because it takes place in Arkansas.
Right.
So, but it's gonna be good. It's got some big names in it, and it was my first experience. But I was pretty excited. I'm pretty excited for it to come out. Even though I have a smaller part, but I have a reoccurring character, so I'm pretty excited to see it.
That's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. So how did the Cornbread Cowboy persona,
Man,
how did it come about?
I get asked that all the time. I think it just, for a lot of reasons, just the things that I enjoy, like my sense of humor, the type of music I like, the type of fashion I'm into. I think it just fills that niche. And I think that kind of humor, like the old rural Southern man, blue collar, you don't see a lot of that in Hollywood and stuff. So I think there was an underserved audience out there that was, liking stuff like that. Like growing up, I was listening to like Jeff Foxworthy, Roy D. Mercer, all these old country guys. It wasn't really a thing, and I guess that audience really, they love it. So
Roy
keep doing
Mercer
it.
is. I'm so glad you he is so funny. That persona was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I used to have the CDs that I would play all the time.
Roy D. Mercer?
Roy D. Mercer.
Yeah, Oklahoma City, I think, or Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, he was the man.
We have a Roy D. Mercer impersonation. You can.
I probably can't say it on air, so I'm gonna try to keep it.
Hey, Tyler did give him the rundown. As soon as we walked in, he's like, "Hey, there's some words you can't say, man."
After
Chris trying to get him in trouble
After
already.
our most recent encounter with Steven Garcia on the air, I have to remind everyone there are things we're not allowed to say. I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I just want to make sure it's always in your mind as you're coming on the air to make sure we don't get in trouble with the FCC.
That don't sound like Steven at all. I don't
No,
know.
not at all. Well,
Now-
hey, listen, he only did it twice, which I guess is a record for him.
Cornbread, you've caught a touchdown pass from Garcia.
I
I've
did
seen it.
actually. I tell you what's funny about it is we were like, all right, we're gonna do this because they were doing an alumni game out there, and I actually had a big 24-ounce Budweiser, and I tried to sneak it in because I was going to. You remember that movie Little Giants when he throws the football and then it turns into toilet paper so the guy can catch it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So that's an all-time favorite movie.
So I
of
was
mine.
going to have him throw me a football, and the spiral was going to eventually. I was going to edit it where it turned into to a beer, and I was going to catch it, but the lady was like, "No, sirree, that's not allowed out here." So, anyways, but no, and I had a lot of people rag on me on the internet because how I caught the football with my chest, but. First time being in a Williams-Brice Stadium on the field, I get a 50-yard bomb from Garcia. He has a rocket for an arm. I didn't want to drop it, I had Perry Orth right there recording it, and I didn't want to waste their time. So I had one and done. I got it, and one pass, one catch. But yeah, my first touchdown ever to Bryce, baby.
So you did catch it first time, like that
First
was
time, one shot.
Hey, you caught the ball.
Yeah,
so
hey,
He's
that
a
is what-
performer.
What,
Yeah.
what was your strategy on sneaking in the beverage?
Well, I had my rally towel with me, and I told the lady, I was like, I'm not going to drink it. It's for a prop. And she just kind of looked at me like I was crazy. So, unfortunately, I had to throw it in
Now,
the trash can.
did y'all see Garcia's most recent story for their podcast on Gamecocks Plus?
Where he was drinking at the like the horseshoe or
He was
something
like
that.
outside.
Yeah,
Y'all see
yeah.
that, guys? Yeah. So he said, it made me think of that story. He said that they, were on campus, and he was 21,
Yeah,
but he was having some beers
Right.
and a cooler. They took a cooler out.
it was after a spring practice.
After spring practice.
Yeah.
Yes. And he tried to loop DeMarco into it, and DeMarco was like, I was not there.
Yeah, exactly.
DeMarco's a good boy.
Sure you were.
So said somebody, one of the nice USC police officers came up and was like, hey, what you doing? Hey, we're just having some beers. You can't do that. And told Garcia about how it was a dry campus, and he didn't understand what that meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's poor Steven.
Beamer, he was on the interview. He's like, now, was that just a suspension, or was that a warning, or
Yeah,
which
exactly.
one was that?
Yeah, suspension.
Yeah, the podcast has been great.
It has
by
been
the
good.
way.
Yeah, good stuff on there
Yeah,
over on Gamecocks Plus, and kind of getting back to your whole story here. You're a football player yourself from back in the day. What was your position?
Oh yeah. Well, growing up, my favorite player for Carolina was Ryan Brewer, and
We had him in studio yesterday.
oh really?
Yeah, he does a afternoon show with Jay and Elijah on
yeah.
Tuesdays. Calls it Bruise Days.
Well, unfortunately, I couldn't wear 21 because that's what all the cool kids wore. So I guess I wasn't cool enough. But anyways, I played kick returner, punt returner, wide receiver, defensive back, a little bit of running back here and there. So I was like the short, stocky kid on my
Right.
team.
Now you have an affinity for fullbacks too, correct?
I do, man. I just like that old style of football, and it's an important position. Some teams use it, some in the NFL, some in college, but it's just, it's just kind of, evolved away from the game. And
It's kind of a dying breed.
It is,
Now most teams we'll throw a tight end back there when we need it in a goal line or something like that, but you don't have a dedicated fullback on a lot of rosters anymore.
Yep, that was the beginning of the end. I remember when they started doing that H-back position where it would be like a hybrid tight end fullback. I was like, this is cool. Send him in motion, put him back there. But now, look, he's done took away fullback, man.
You just need a bruiser with a neck roll and, ready to run over someone.
Cowboy collar, neck roll, something,
I mean, speaking of DeMarco, he really was kind of he's one of the last of the fullbacks, I feel like. And DeMarco had 10 years in the league. Like, people forget. He stuck around. And, by the way, do y'all follow there's a Twitter account, Last of the Fullbacks. And
Yes, I do.
all they post is fullback clips of fullbacks just wrecking people. And every time I see it, I think of Pat
love it.
DeMarco. But
Speaking of forgetting, by the way, I went to Wilson Elko High School, and actually a guy who was younger than me was the fullback for Marcus Lattimore, Dalton Wilson.
Yes,
Wilson Elko.
I had him pulled up. I was going to bring him up. Yeah.
His mom was a teacher. She was like the nicest lady. They live right down the street from me. And rest in peace. I believe his father might have passed away recently, but they were a good family. He was a good kid. He had a sister. Him, his mom, and dad lived down the street from me. They're a good family. Yep.
Number 46, right?
46. Yeah.
That's a fullback number.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a great fullback number.
So Spurrier, he recruited DeMarco to play fullback, tight end. Spurrier was very good at identifying oh, here's a linebacker, here's a defensive lineman that's not going to play. Sometimes it was a walk-on guy, and he'd be like, you want to play?
Yeah.
And he'd move him to fullback. He tells the story about some guy at Duke that he just pulled off of the D-line scout team, turned him into a fullback. Leonard Stafford.
Dude.
You remember that name?
Everybody's reading my mind.
Stafford,
That was
39, right? Number
Yes.
39, yeah.
Sort of a small, stocky dude, but was playing on the D-line, I'm pretty sure, when Spurrier got here. And what was Stafford listed at? Like
Dude,
5'9"?
I was going to say he's listed at 5'9". That might be generous.
That's probably me. He was 5'7.5". I remember somebody pulled up an article of me in high school. It was 5'10", 180. I was like, dude, I'm 5'8" on a good day, brother. I'm not 5'10".
Well, I think we all know they fudge the numbers a little bit when it comes to those comes to those rosters. Looking at the depth chart the other day, and some of those guys they maybe gave him an inch or two, maybe
Yeah,
added about
for
10 or
sure.
20 pounds, but it looks better when you put it on there that
Oh,
way.
yeah. Everybody looks bigger on TV, too, I think. So.
Leonard was listed at 5'9", 242.
Wow.
Yeah.
Perfect fullback size.
They called him Short and Round. That's his nickname. He was good.
No, he was pretty good.
He was a good player.
He, man, so I went to Augusta Gamecock Club yesterday. Shout out to those guys. Had a great time over there. And I got my first question this year, not about tight ends, my first one of, hey, why don't they use a fullback? And that's a common question you get every year. There's somebody on the message board saying, why don't we bring back the fullback? But I got to thinking, everybody has gone so spread. Like, everybody's spread.
Yeah.
Now all the defenses recruit and develop based on defending against the spread. It might have come full circle. If you went all in on the fullback,
Dude, you can shock some people, man, because they're not.
it could work.
Their defenses, like you said, they're prepared for the spread, so they're a little built for speed and not, they can't deal with that pounding nonstop. So I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years see teams go to that route, at least for a couple formations,
It's almost kind of like what's old is new again, where it gets phased out,
Yep.
then kind of slowly makes its way back in. Everything's cyclical, I guess, when you talk about football. So maybe the fullback isn't quite dead just yet.
Hey, for sure.
You know who I think could. He's not going to probably be lined up. Maybe in some situations as a fullback, it'll be more of that H back like you were talking about earlier. Maurice Brown is a guy that we've heard on some of the run plays, like he will hit somebody. So on Maurice Brown.
He's got the look too.
He's got the look.
Maurice Brown the second.
The second, excuse me. Yes, we like to try to get that right.
What number does he wear?
Is he 44?
44.
Yeah, 44.
All right, I'm ready for it.
That's a good number.
That's
That's a
Fullback
good number.
number.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Down the rock, baby.
Plenty more
Run the ball.
conversation as we try and revive the fullback. Cornbread Cowboi hanging out with us on Wednesday's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game.
The game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Carolina Calls.
With head coach Shane Beamer.
Thanks to everyone for coming out. What an awesome crowd on a Thursday night.
This Thursday at 6 p.m. on The Game. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
All right, guys, tomorrow, 9 a.m. to noon, we're going to be live from Gold Line Framing, 3 hours of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5. Of course, we tell you about Gold Line Framing pretty much all the time. Owner Kendall Walsh, manager Johnny James. They're going to take great care of any and all of your custom framing needs, from diplomas, original artwork, canvases, jerseys, flags. Maybe you've got a signed print that you want to have framed up for the man cave. They can handle any and all that for you. Like I said, we're going to be there live, 9 a.m. to noon. Come on out. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have some free tickets. Just drop by, maybe some refreshments as well. Come see us. Come hang out. Again, that address, 511 12th Street. It's over in West Columbia. In-store, also, there's an art gallery, home decor, furniture, and gift items all right there, whether you're a South Carolina fan or a Clemson fan as well. If you already got something you want framed up, call them today, 803-739-1337. And again, stop by and see us tomorrow, 9 a.m. to noon at Gold Line Framing.
Hey, it's Tyler Head from The Game. Spend your Labor Day weekend at Darlington Raceway August 31st and September 1st. The action kicks off on Saturday with the NASCAR Xfinity Series 200 miler. Kids 12 and under get in free, and tickets for adults start at just $35. And make sure you're back on Sunday for the 75th running of the Cookout Southern 500. For the NASCAR Cup Series, tickets start at just $55. Kids 12 and under start at just $10. Bring the whole family and make memories that will last a lifetime at Darlington Raceway.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Hey, it's Chris Clark. I want to invite you to join me and Wes Mitchell on GamecockCentral.com for in-depth insider coverage of South Carolina football. New members can use promo code KICKOFF24 to get 50% off an annual subscription. That's promo code KICKOFF24 on GamecockCentral.com.
Phones aren't wired to the wall anymore. We carry them in our pockets. Cars can even drive themselves, right? Technology advances have changed our lives.
That's football legend Emmitt Smith.
Some of the most fascinating advances are happening with the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. I'm talking about natural regenerative treatments for joint pain without surgery or harmful drugs.
Tens of thousands of patients have discovered these breakthroughs firsthand at QC Kinetics. With over 100 board-certified providers across the country, they're transforming the world of pain treatment using your body's own healing properties to help restore your aching joints.
Why would you keep going back to the old tired ways of treating chronic joint pain? Check out the latest advances at QC Kinetics. And here's an idea for you. You can call them on that smartphone right there in your pocket.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances. And Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
It's the Love Chevrolet Countdown to Gamecock Football.
3 days till kickoff.
Winner of Chevrolet's Mark of Excellence Award for Best in-Class Customer Experience. Maybe that's what Love customers love so much about Love Chevy. I-26 in Harmison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Call the experts at Zerorez Air Duct Cleaning and mention me, Bill Gunner, and 107.5 The Game to get $50 off your next air duct cleaning service. Use code AIR50 at ZerorezColumbia.com. Zerorez, it's the right way to clean.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark hanging out with you on a Wednesday. Cornbread Cowboi joining us live here in studio, or Ori Lee Kennedy, if you want to give his legal name here, hanging out with us on this Wednesday. Talking ball, also kind of getting his story of how this persona came about that we all know on social media now. And I was reading a write-up that the state did with you here recently, and this all kind of got rolling really during COVID a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I think everybody was kind of bored at home with COVID, and I remember that app TikTok. And I was like, I'm not dancing around like some schoolgirl, doing these little funky dances. That's just not my style. But I've always had a presence on social media in some way, shape, or form. And I just, like I was speaking on the earlier segment, there was an underserved audience and a type of comedy that I like, that old school, rural Southern, blue collar type comedy, and with the old songs the music I like, and I do all kind of stuff from sports related content to, evidently my little chase with Linda I got going on.
I would say the Linda story is very intriguing. It's one that keeps us on our toes.
Man, what's funny is I tell you, so I actually have an aunt named Linda. And but it's and I got the inspiration from the movie Sling Blade with Dwight Yoakam, where he's like, I'm hurting Linda.
Sure.
And I just did a couple of those, and I just create a storyline, and I just kind of, as I go, it comes to me, and I just, and people seem to enjoy it. It's kind of like watching reality TV. You know, a lot of us, you know, crap television, but we're all addicted to it. A lot of people watch reality TV, so I think it has that kind of factor to it. You know, and people just want to know what's going to happen next. You know,
absolutely.
I'm curious, man. What's like your process for creating a video? Like, are you kind of scripting this thing out, or is it much more just on the fly, so to speak?
You know, I'm actually very fortunate. There's a lot of people in the creator community. They edit their videos. It takes some hours. Mine's. So, for example, what I'm wearing right now, I just got on, came here. I have a tripod. I film everything myself. So if I was on the way here before I go somewhere, I would have just set it up, or you know, if I see somewhere where I want to, it's kind of on the fly, man. I just, and then what I'll do is I'll edit it and slow motion it, and then I'll either pick a song, and a song will give me a scenario in my head, or I'll have a scenario in my head that matches to a song, and it kind of, I guess it just kind of hits you in the gut a little bit, you know, sometimes. And sometimes it's raunchy, sometimes it's nostalgia, sometimes it's funny. It's kind of like, this is how I see it right here. Let's say if you go watch a movie tonight, right? Great movie. You're not going to repeatedly keep watching that movie, right? But if there's a TV show, you're going to come back every week for a new episode. But guess what? Every episode ain't going to be funny. Some it's going to be sad. So I try to be like a TV show where people keep coming back, you know, for more. So
well, and I think it's interesting in today's world with content creation. We talk about short attention spans. We're like, oh, people can't sit down for a 3-hour movie anymore. You got to get them quick in and out. And your content, a lot of the things that you do, those literally it's a slow motion walk with a song and then the text in front of it. It's very quick, something you can consume in a couple seconds that gets right to the point, but is very specific. Like I don't know if you were setting out to nail it that way, but I think you've nailed it to a T.
Yeah, you know, and I'll tell you about this. A lot of people are like, oh, all he does is just walk. And I make it seem easy because I want my content to be very digestible for the audience, you know, easy to digest.
Sure.
But and the reason why I do the short form content with words is so, and I don't talk it a lot in them, is because let's say if you're from Wisconsin or Illinois, you know, I have a regional accent, and it might take away your imagination from your grandpa, or your uncle, or whoever I might remind you of in the video. Kind of like reading a book, you have your own imagination to it. So it's just the song, the words, and it paints a picture in people's heads. So it's easy to digest, you know.
And the reminder part, I told you this in the commercial break, like I can't pinpoint an exact person, and I'm from Georgia originally before I moved out here a couple years ago, but there are so many people like you with that aesthetic that just reminds me of being a kid, of being around those people, smelling cigarettes, you know, Budweiser, all that kind of stuff. It just like takes you back in time, really, which I guess is the goal of what the character is.
For sure, man. You know, I think no matter if you're 20, 30, 50, 60 years old, we all have a thirst for that nostalgia that reminds us of being kids at times. And you know, I think a lot of people, whether you grow up in a small town or not, you know, there was these men in your community who you kind of looked up to, kind of, you know, and I guess I kind of represent those in some ways. So I think that's why it kind of hits people in the heart a little bit too at times. I've actually, you know, I love bringing joy to people, and it's funny. I've had people message me like during the holidays, like, hey, you know, my dad passed away last year. I haven't been able to get in the Christmas spirit at all, been depressed. I saw your videos and you look just like my dad. And they'll send me like pictures of their dads from like the 80s or something. Yeah. And they're like, now I'm in the Christmas spirit. And there's a lot of wholesomeness to what I do. Like I said earlier, I do raunchy stuff, funny, you know, if you're consistently watching it, you'll see I have a lot of variety. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's to bring joy to people through laughter and, or, you know, just keep it simple and just have a good time and not take life so serious, you know?
Let's talk a little ball, man. How closely have you been following the kind of lead up to the season? Like, what do you expect?
Hell yeah, let's talk some ball.
What like record wise, where's your head at? What would make you happy? I mean, I know everybody wants their team to be undefeated.
For sure. I'm not going to say 12-0, but I will say 12-0. But no, you know, every year you have these predictions. You're like, all right, well, this is how this team finished last year. These are the players that they got. These are the players recruited. All right, this team, they probably going to go 8-4, 6, but every year, if you look at the projections and the final standings, that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're really invested in the program and know what's going on like y'all do, you probably understand the injuries we had last year, you know, this and that. A lot of factors played into how we finished our, you know, season. But I really think this year we're going to surprise some people. And I think our defense is going to be – the defensive line is probably my favorite position on the team as far as, experience and stuff. I think they're going to be really talented. I think if Lenore Sellers can, be what we think he is, and of course he's a freshman, he's going to have a learning curve, no doubt. But I'd probably be happy with. I want to make a bowl game for sure, but I'd say a 7-5 should be at least what we're hoping for. I
feel like that's pretty realistic.
Yeah, is that the number too? Like
I've heard a lot of people say, 7-5. Are you? You're not throwing a parade, but you're like, all right, there's some progress.
We're back on track.
Back on track.
Right.
Yeah,
we're back on track. Yeah, we're back on track. But I wouldn't be surprised if we were, 7-2 heading into, the final weeks and like, oh, what we gonna do? Win some close ball games. I mean, evidently that first away game, Kentucky's going to be crucial to our momentum because we're talking earlier. I think after that Florida game, that really took a lot of, when we lost that Florida game, when they came back on us at the very end, I feel like the team just kind of got deflated a little bit. So if we don't let those games, happen with losses, I think we'll be all right.
Well, I feel like after that Florida game, if you're sitting there looking at the schedule and kind of counting wins, you were going. That one's going to come back to haunt you. Yeah. And then, of course, you fall one win short of going to a bowl game, and you're like, well, if you win the Florida game, you're not that 6-6 is a great season, but you go to a bowl, now you have a shot to maybe get that 7th win by winning the bowl game. It just changes the way people feel. When you see 5 and 7, it's a 2-game swing, but it just feels way different, I feel like, than 7 and 5.
I agree. And I think we got the right guy for the job, so I'm patient with him. I don't care if we have 3, 6, and 6 years in a row or whatever it is. I want him to be here for the long run and establish, a good program like he's doing. And like I said, I'm patient. I don't think we have to go 8-4 this year. I don't think there's no hot seat talk anywhere. I think we got the right guy for the job, and we just got to put the work in and, win some ball games.
And, we look at this from a media standpoint because that's obviously our job. But given the fact that you're a fan and ingrained in this community, it seems like Beamer legitimately cares about being here. He loves Columbia, loves the University of South Carolina, wants to be involved in what's going on here locally. And I think that resonates well with a lot of fans, too.
I think that's a big factor because, if you have a guy up there who feels like he's not invested in the community and don't, love to be here, you have a season like last year, like, the next job he's going to probably get out of here or whatever. But like I said earlier, I think we're in it for a long haul with him, and I think we should need to give him some time, and I think he's going to figure it out for us. And like I said, he's created a great culture. I've been to a couple practices, and I just think he's created a great culture there, and soon to be, it's going to be a winning culture like we all want it to be.
Play more ball conversation as well as learning about Cornbread Cowboy himself, Ori Lee Kennedy, hanging out with us on today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Sips and Sounds, the only craft beer, wine, and spirits tasting event held indoors under the cool AC. No rain, no heat, no worries. Unlimited sampling of over 40 brands of local and national craft beers, wine, seltzers, and spirits. Live performances by Ken and Drew of Sister Hazel, Dazer, and the Donovan Twins.
Saturday, September 28th. Get your unlimited tasting wristbands now at sipsandsoundscola.com.
Our friends over at Krantz Cooling and Heating have been providing great service, reliable service to families right here in the Midlands since 1983. They've been out to my home. They've been out to my mom's home after she moved to the Irmo area, put in mini splits for all of us, did an outstanding job. They also gave me a free second opinion recently on a coil leak that I was having in one of my units at my home. Great service every single time from Justin Krantz, the general manager of Krantz Cooling and Heating, and his team, a family-owned local business right here in the Midlands. So anything that you may need from an HVAC standpoint at your home or at your business, they can help you with it. KrantzCooling.com is where you can go to learn more about their services. That's Krantz with a K, Cooling with a K, KrantzCooling.com. Or you can give them a call, 803-672-3224. That's the family-owned and operated local HVAC service technicians, Krantz Cooling and Heating.
Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union wants to reward you for saving more of your hard-earned money, and they can't think of a better way to do it than with more cash. When you participate in Palmetto Citizens Save to Win program, every time you make a savings deposit of just $25, you'll be entered into a monthly and quarterly prize drawing for a chance to win up to $5,000. All the money that piles up in your Save to Win account is yours to keep, along with the interest you earned, so there's never been a better time to get the ball rolling on your savings plan. With a Save to Win account, there's nothing to lose and everything to win. Open your 12-month Save to Win term certificate account and start saving today by visiting any of Palmetto Citizens' 14 branches across the Midlands, or go to palmettocitizens.org to learn more. Palmetto Citizens, proudly serving the Midlands since 1936. Account may be subject to penalty for early withdrawal. This credit union is federally insured by the NCUA.
From lazy days and spontaneous adventures to revving up and reconnecting, you can almost feel the excitement building, the road ahead, and a whole new season of possibilities. It's back to cool time right now at Love Chevy, with amazing savings on a lot chock full of brand new Tahoes, Suburbans, and the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse. A bolder exterior design, turbocharged V6, best-in-class cargo area, plenty of space for the team and the tailgate. Speaking of football, every day is game day at Love Chevy, where it's all about the fundamentals, honesty, integrity, and straight talk. No ridiculous add-on stickers like the other guys. And who could forget about Love Chevy's $1,000 low price guarantee? Get back to cool today at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Lowe's knows saving pros time and money means getting the job done easier. Right now, get up to 50% off select composite decking and railing. Plus, get an extra 5% off every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. 5% off or subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store lowes.com/credit for details.
Seems like there's more identity theft in the news every day.
Another major healthcare breach was reported today, resulting in the exposure of...
Now 1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity. That's because there are endless places that could accidentally expose you to identity theft, in a breach, or simply by mistake. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On the Game Network.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark hanging out with Cornbread Cowboy, Ori Lee Kennedy in studio with us on this Wednesday, talking ball, learning about the Cornbread Cowboy character as well. We have a shout out from some guy, Mike Yuva. I don't know if you've ever heard of him up there in Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
Says hope all is well. And I know you guys ran together before he moved up there to Rhode Island. I'm sure you guys have gotten into plenty of trouble together.
Oh, yeah. Sad to see Yuva go, man. He's he's very important to the Gamecock community, but we got to know each other on a personal level, and he's a good dude, man. So it's he had to.
I was gonna say, how many times did he post a picture of y'all out at Village Idiot?
Man, I tell you what, we would go all over the place out downtown, man. After games or whatnot, and hang out with our buddy Cox by 90, and But anyways, last year was my first football season back, moving back to South Carolina, so it was good, man, because it's been like 10 years almost. And I grew up, my first football game I went to, I believe it was 94. I believe it was my 8th birthday, and I got taken to a game, and I believe we lost to Kentucky. I think it was tied up, and we tried a onside kicker. They were up by 3, but I remember it was pouring rain and cold, so I didn't really, participate sitting out there because I was so young and they didn't want me getting sick. But the next year, I believe, we played UCF and Deuce Staley. that's when I really fell in love with Gamecock football. You know, the crowd going Deuce. But I've been a fan my whole life. I went to my brother went to school here, so I would come up from high school. After Friday night football games and stay the weekend and go to games. Back when we had Lou Holtz, and all that good stuff. And but moving away, I could only go when we played Florida down there in the swamp because I lived in Tampa, Florida. And what's funny is I tell you something. When I moved to Tampa, Florida, the first day I get down there, who do I run into? Steven Garcia.
Wow.
I was like, well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And we hang out. We got to hang out here and there down there one of my time in Tampa. But anyways, yeah, ready for the season to start, man.
Are we all?
Deuce is a throwback, man. That guy, I feel like there's a generation of Gamecock fans that probably didn't see him play, but he was the original star running back. If you were like around my age, like that was I didn't ever see George Rogers, but Deuce Staley, well, he was a dude in the mid 90s, and Steve Tannehill at quarterback back then. You had some talent on those teams. But by the way, Mike Uva, I think he sits around on his computer now and reminisces about South Carolina. He hops on our podcast yesterday. He's listening today. Mike, if you miss us, you can just admit it.
I think he found a Carolina bar up there. I saw that yesterday. So,
oh, boy.
Yeah,
that's dangerous.
He's a little homesick. It seems
I didn't know they had Carolina bars in Rhode Island, but anyway, man, I know you said you spoke to or at practice a little bit. I think I saw you spoke to the team maybe once. Did you say a couple words?
Yeah, man, team? That was they were riding on that high after that Tennessee Clemson win. There's prep for a bowl game, and I had something up here. I can't remember what it was, and I came up here. They just gave me a tour of facilities and whatnot, and just being they found out I was a Gamecock fan because a lot of people were like, who's this guy, Cornbread Cowboy? Where is he from? And I was actually in a bar back home. And there was a big Gamecock on the wall. Anyways, so the strength and conditioning coach reached out to me. He was like, yeah, come on, we'll give you a tour, man. So I did a tour and all that stuff, got to watch him practice. I'm over there standing off to the side. I didn't think anything else. I was like, this is neat, this is cool. And Beamer's like, blows the whistle, like after individual warm-ups or whatever, and he brings the team together. He's like, hey, we got a celebrity here today. Come on over here. Y'all meet the Cornbread Cowboy. I'm like, what? I was like... Dude, so he brought me in front of the team, and he's like, you got something to say to the guys? And you got to think, dude, I'm a grown man, but, I know these kids are 18, 19, 20, but these are D1, big, football team, 100 guys, And I'm like, so I just kind of snapped back into my old high school coach, Coach Paris Mason. He's actually defensive coordinator and athletic director of Blackville Hilda right now, but and I was nervous, man. I was like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? So I brought a fake whistle with me to make some content, so it was a real whistle, but I'm not a real coach. But anyways... I went to grab my whistle, and those 2 seconds, I just kind of snapped into my old coach, and I gave him a little speech. Anyways, and it was a good, fun time with him and all that good stuff. And, I became buddies with, like, Jody Wright and stuff like that. But he's moved on to Murray State and all that stuff. But Luke's still there. And, anyways, yeah, man, that was a good moment for me.
Jody Wright's got Missouri.
Thursday, upset alert, baby.
Hey, there ain't nobody that's ever met Jody Wright and didn't finish the conversation with a smile on their face.
100%,
that
man.
That guy is the most genuine, hilarious dude you will ever meet, I feel like.
Yeah, he is. When he came back I was like, dude, let me get some of your Gamecock gear. I know you got it. So he came by the house and dropped some off, and me and him went and had lunch at Lizard Thicket before he got in the full gear up there in Murray State. But, yeah, man, I'm going to try to make it up to a game this year, so we'll see.
So you said that was after the Tennessee game in 22?
Yeah.
When you did that?
Yep.
So your pep talk worked. You beat Clemson, too.
I know. Yeah.
There you go.
Pep talk worked. And then what's funny is that's kind of when a lot of stuff started taking off for me off social media because, well, of course, I went to the bowl game, and then, we didn't win like I wanted to, but it's all good. It was a
great game.
It was a great game. It was a great game. Man, that ending when we ran back that like 99-yard pick six or something like that.
OD Fortune.
But so my first time on stage was the next day. It was New Year's Eve in Raleigh, North Carolina. Marcus King, who's from South Carolina, he's from Greenville. He's a pretty big musician. Lives in Nashville now, and we were playing at, where was it? I can't think of the name of that place, but there was probably 2,000-3,000 people there. And he was like, yeah, you going just like Coach Beamer did to me. He was like, put me on the spot. Marcus King, he's like, you're coming up and doing the encore with me. I was like, what? it's New Year's Eve, so I've done had some cold ones in me, you know. The beverages are flowing.
Sure.
And I was like, when they do encore, they cut all the lights off. I was like, and I see all the chords and stuff. I've never been on a big stage like that ever. I was like, I'm going to bust my butt up there, man. So I get up there, but at that point, not to toot my own horn, because I could have said anything, and that crowd on New Year's Eve would have went wild. I could have said,
they had a few.
You know what I mean? I could have said almost anything. Yeah. But anyways, I got up there, I got the crowd hyped up, and brought Mark a song, and he killed it, and so that was, and ever since then, I've been reached out to MC a lot of shows and festivals. I'm actually hosting the first ever country music festival in New York City. It's going to be like in Brooklyn, yeah. So, because country's everywhere now. Everybody loves country music, even though the genres kind of widen out a little bit, to fit everything in there. But so that's not my passion. My passion is, like previously I told y'all, that movie I did. I want to do more because evidently I like sketches and acting and stuff. So I'm hoping to do more stuff with that as well. So, but I just try to dip my hand in everything.
What's the biggest celebrity you've ever gotten to be around or engage with?
The biggest celebrity, man. Let's think here.
Other than Mike Uva.
Other than Mike Uva.
That's a big one.
Love you, Mike.
Let's see. I've been around athletes, country singers. I don't know. I guess the biggest actor from that movie is probably that a lot of people know would be maybe Ron Perlman, I guess.
It's pretty big.
But
he's good too. Yeah, he's always his characters are solid.
Yeah, I think he kind of misunderstood me. When I met him, and by the way, you don't meet a lot of tall actors. Everybody's like, oh, Tom Cruise, this guy's short, because you don't see a lot of tall actors because they can't fit on the screen when they're filming. That's why. So Ron Perlman, you think he'd be 6'4", big guy. He's not. He's barely taller than me. He might be 5'10" at the most. I could be wrong. He could be a little bit, but maybe he's just getting older and hunched over a little bit. But anyways, I met him, and I was like, my name's Ori. He's like, nice to meet you. I'm Ron. He was like, Ori? He's like, that's like my name, but backwards. So I think he thought I said my name was Oren. I don't know. But anyways, that's pretty much my only brief interaction with him, because he a lot of the big actors kind of stuck to themselves, stuff like that. But I kind of mingle with everybody. I'm just a friendly person. I don't care if you're, you've heard the saying, I don't care if you're a janitor or CEO. I'm just a friendly, down to earth person. Or at least trying to be.
I think that's what gravitates people to your personality, not only through the skits and stuff like that, but hearing you talk a little bit more long form, you just seem like a dude you could hang out and have a beer with.
Yeah, man, it's weird because growing up, people who were famous to us or celebrities were star athletes, people that were on your TV screen. But now entertainment has took the social media platform to be the number one way we get our entertainment almost. So now you're starting to see social media stars and celebrities. And when you see somebody on the screen for so long, and when you see them in person, you're just kind of oh, so I've had people come up to me, but after a few seconds or a little bit of interaction, oh, this guy's just, regular down to earth dude. I'm like, yeah, of course I am.
Now, what did you know about social media before you dove into it being a content creator? Was this something you ever envisioned yourself doing, or just kind of happened?
Nope, it kind of happened by accident, man. I've always liked to make my friends and family laugh. Of course, you have apps like Facebook and stuff, but now once you gain a following, you can, your stuff gets done to algorithms where people from all over the world or the country or wherever can follow you. But I've always kind of had a presence on social media, whether it was telling stories or, making my own, they call memes, whatever it was. I've always had an original presence where I've just kind of put out stuff I like, and it just kind of evolved, but sort of by accident, but also in a way that the more you do something, the better you get at it, kind of,
Sure.
And the older you get as a person, the more you know who you are. So as I've gotten older, I kind of know what I like, and I kind of just put yourself out there, and that's kind of what happened.
Very cool. We'll come back and wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, hanging out with Cornbread Cowboi on your Wednesday here on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
This is Maggie Gray with a Sports Minute, sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. The head coach under the most pressure this NFL season has to be Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers. No, he's not on the hot seat, but coming off another devastating Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs, Shanahan's coaching in big games will only come under more intense scrutiny. I'm Maggie Gray.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
All right, a new limited time offering sub from our friends at Firehouse Subs. It's called the Firehouse Captain's Club. A lot going on this thing. We got to sample it last week down at the USC location, and it was really good. Signature Captain Sorensen's hot sauce, the brand new Firehouse Hero sauce, and then the meat, oven roasted chicken, melted pepper jack cheese, crushed red pepper flakes, crispy bacon as well, lettuce, tomato, and onions. A lot going on the new Captain's Club. Go check it out. Limited time only. FirehouseSubs.com, or you can download the Firehouse Subs app. That's our favorite method because you can earn yourself some rewards toward future purchases, and you can use the Rapid Rescue to go. Avoid the wait. Order online. It'll be waiting for you when you get in the store, and there's also 14 different Firehouse Subs locations, so no matter where you are in the Midlands, there's a Firehouse Subs close to you. Go check out the new Firehouse Captain's Club today, FirehouseSubs.com.
Injured in a car wreck? Need your check? It's easy. Dial 1-800-ALL-7s now.
The Anastapula Law Firm has been recovering millions for their clients for over 30 years. Whether it's a slip and fall, car accident, or any other issues that have resulted from an accident, Anastapula Law Firm can help. Their South Carolina personal injury attorneys have experience fighting for the rights of their clients. Remember, don't scream. Call Akeem. Dial 800-ALL-7s now. Herb Glass is responsible for this ad, and cases are handled at 32 Ann Street, Charleston, South Carolina, 29403. Paid endorsement, not actually client. Results may vary.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark hanging out with Ori Lee Kennedy, better known as Cornbread Cowboi, across all social media apps. On today's edition of the show, we were talking earlier about some of your favorites from back in the day, Tannehill, Deuce Staley, plenty of great Gamecocks over the years. Do you have one that kind of stands out above the rest as an overall favorite for you?
As an overall favorite for me, let's see here. I mean, of course, I've mentioned Ryan Brewer and Deuce Staley, but, man, Phil Petty, I tell you what, those years, when we, went, won one game, then didn't win any games. I remember, when we got Lou Holtz, that game we had in NC State. But I think when I was talking about my first game, my second game actually, when the crowd was chanting, Deuce. Yeah. But you remember Boo Williams. Mm-hmm. So the crowd would chant boo. So I always liked when you had a guy, on your team that the crowd could really get into it. And
sure.
So yeah, Boo Williams. I remember I was a big fan of him when I was younger. Andrew Pinnock. Come on, fullback, running back. Dacus Turman. He could do both too. Oh, he could pound a rock.
About Dacus the other day. Yep.
Yeah. Washington Wilkes High School, I believe. Augusta, Georgia.
Good pull. Tyler would know more about Washington Wilkes than I would, but that's a good pull.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about naming random Gamecock players. It was like Dion LaCorn.
Dion LaCorn.
What a name.
That's a great game. Just sit around and name. Who from this year's team, I think you mentioned Lenora Sellers earlier, Who are a few guys that you're most interested to see this season?
Man, like I said, with that D line, T.J. Sanders, Alex Huntley, Tonka Hemingway, that interior D line.
Yep.
I feel like they may. Every time I look up, I've seen them making a tackle. Whether it was at the line of scrimmage, chasing somebody down in the backfield, and it's usually not my favorite position on the field, but just what I see them do last year, and I think what they're capable of doing this year. I think they're going to be. Those three guys specifically are going to make a lot of impact this year on the D line. So I'm actually looking for them to do something.
As an old school guy, what are your thoughts on not playing Georgia, Tennessee, or Florida this year?
Oh my God, I do not like it at all, man. I'm
Thank you.
Dude, I'm a big traditional guy. Just all these changes and stuff. Money's the root to all evil sometimes, by God. I don't know. I don't know the answers. Maybe it's going to be good for sport in the long run, but, we're going to have to get used to it. Times are changing, it's just the way it is. But hopefully they figure something out where we can keep these rivals instead of, like, Texas A&M. Like, how are they a rival to us? Like, what?
Thank you. I've been wondering the same thing.
We got to play them, but we're not playing Georgia, Florida, or Tennessee. Get out of here, man.
The thing about it is, they could have dropped one or even two of those teams from the schedule, but to drop all three the same year. Like, that just, to me, growing up, those were like the games that you sort of, they set the standard for South Carolina. So when, all those Spurrier years, if you're beating Georgia, if you're beating Florida, if you're beating Tennessee, or if you're just competing, like, lost by a touchdown, you're like, all right, that's a good standard setter of where the program is at that given time. Even Missouri, I know they've been in the league for a while now. I'm just like, that doesn't feel like an SEC team to me. A&M at least feels like an SEC team, just the way they support, big stadium, all those things. But even then, it's like, that's so far across the country, too, that it's just, those aren't the games you grew up watching your team play. So you don't really have the nostalgia of, remember beating Georgia back in 2000 with Quincy Carter and all those things. Tyler, Georgia fan.
There's your one mention for the day. You got it out of the way, Wes.
We are getting Texas A&M back, which is fun.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah,
but as far as the South Carolina end, some of the best games you're.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember we used to play Arkansas regularly. I'd rather have that game than the Texas A&M.
And that makes sense. You come into the conference together, so there's naturally kind of a story built in there. But when A&M comes in, it's like, all right, you guys are rivals with South Carolina. Why? We couldn't be further apart.
It also coincided when Arkansas started falling off. They're like, y'all are now playing Texas A&M.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was like terrible timing. I want to get. I think Tyler and Wes and I will probably do picks tomorrow, Friday, for some different games, but I want to get your picks. I want to get your picks for some games this week.
Me.
So let's start South Carolina ODU. What you got?
South Carolina.
Give us a score though.
All right, here we go.
On this one, I'm not going to make you pick.
Okay.
The spread is 21, by the way.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna say 41-17. We cover.
Okay.
I think we'll all take that.
I like that. Yep. That'd be everybody beat it. I think that's a happy score for everybody. Yep. All right, let's hit some of the other big games from this weekend. Number 14, Clemson. Number 1, Georgia in Atlanta. We're picking straight up.
Yep.
Not against.
Oh, well, I was going to say 27-23 Georgia.
Okay. It's a close one.
What's the spread on that one?
14.
Mm-hmm.
14. I'm going to say Clemson covers the spread.
Okay. All right, let's go. Let's do this one just in case. So Penn State's the top 10 team. They're going at West Virginia. You got to go to Morgantown. Penn State favored by 8. Who you got there?
Ooh, I think Penn State starts off slow, but they end up covering. I'm going to say 21-30 Penn State.
Okay. Another big one for both teams, Miami and Florida.
That's an interesting game because can you imagine whoever loses that game, that fan base is going to be on fire on Sunday morning.
At Florida, Miami favored by 2.5.
Ooh. I'm going to say 37-30 Gators.
Gators get it done? Okay.
Hey, you know how loud it gets down there in the swamp.
In the swamp? Hold on. What time is that game, by the way?
3:30.
3:30 game. It'll be a little. Now, here's one. I know who I'm picking. I'll go ahead and spoil my pick on this one. Very interesting game to me. Notre Dame, number 7, at Texas A&M. A&M favored by 3. I've got the Aggies in that one.
You got the Aggies in that one?
Got the Aggies. Notre Dame very young on the O-line. Texas A&M, they'll have a good front as usual.
I see a low-scoring game, but if they can keep it real low, I think Texas A&M can win that game. But they got the first-year head coach at Texas A&M, so I don't know. I just think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I think that's a toss-up, but you know what? I'm going to go Notre Dame on that one.
Okay. Hey, poor Duke. Their coach is now coaching at A&M, and their quarterback from last year is the quarterback at Notre Dame in this game.
And
what in the heck?
And they got Manny Diaz out of all this.
Yeah, Riley Leonard. That kid's a heck of a player.
He's really good.
He's really good.
Last one, Sunday game, Southern Cal, LSU in Vegas. LSU favored by 4. 7:30 p.m. on Sunday.
7:30 game. I'm going to say, let's see, I'm going to say 33-24 LSU.
I got LSU as well. Right. And that'll be Lincoln Riley. They lose that game. We'll heat up a little bit.
Yes. That's going to be a fun one. Well, Ori, appreciate you hanging out with us. You're certainly always welcome back anytime, and I think we got a lot of people that tuned in and enjoyed hearing your story and hearing you talk a little ball, too.
Heck yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Go Cox, baby. Cox by 90.
Absolutely. You can follow him at Cornbread Cowboi. We'll be out at Gold Line Framing tomorrow morning from 9 until noon for a Gamecock Central Takeover Hour in West Columbia. Halftime show with myself, Terry Ford, coming up next here on The Game.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
All right, y'all, before we get out of here, you've heard me talk about them. It's our friends at Classic Roofing. The great thing about calling Classic Roofing is that if you call this number, 803-590-7870, you are